Shaunie O'Neal, the ex-wife of NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal, walks into boutique in Los Angeles to find the perfect birthday dress for her daughter. But what happens to her, simply because of her skin color, will shock you, and the twist that follows will leave you speechless. Shaunie O'Neal, dressed casually in a tracksuit and sneakers, steps out of her car in front of an upscale boutique in Los Angeles. The boutique, with its sleek glass facade and polished gold lettering, exudes luxury. Inside, the ambience is a stark contrast to Shaunie's simple, comfortable attire. White marble floors shine under soft golden lights, showcasing elegant displays of high-end dresses and accessories. The store is filled with the soft hum of classical music, adding to the atmosphere of exclusivity and wealth. Shaunie enters with a confident, yet unassuming grace, her purpose clear: to find a beautiful dress for her daughter's upcoming birthday. The moment she crosses the threshold, however, she senses a shift in the air. The boutique staff, all impeccably dressed, glance at her with cool, assessing stares. Their polite smiles don't quite reach their eyes. Shaunie brushes off the looks, accustomed to being in public spaces where her presence might cause a stir. She's here to shop for her daughter, not to prove anything to anyone. Behind the counter, Jessica Marlowe, the boutique manager, immediately notices Shaunie's entrance. With a slightly raised brow, Jessica's gaze lingers, assessing Shaunie's appearance. The cold reception feels out of place in the otherwise serene boutique, leaving Shaunie to feel a subtle, unwelcome tension. Shaunie O'Neal stood in front of a luxurious gown, her fingers brushing the delicate fabric, her mind focused on finding the perfect dress for her daughter's upcoming birthday. She wasn't there to make a statement, she was simply a mother on a mission, wanting to find something beautiful for her daughter to wear. As she examined the gown, the boutique manager, Jessica Marlowe, quickly noticed Shaunie's casual attire, a tracksuit and sneakers, and her presence in the upscale boutique. The cold judgment was evident in Jessica's gaze as she sized up Shaunie, clearly questioning whether someone like her should be there. "Can I help you?" Jessica asked, her tone dripping with skepticism. Shaunie, unfazed by Jessica's attitude, smiled politely and said, "I'd like to try this dress on. It's for my daughter's birthday." Jessica glanced at the dress, then back at Shaunie, a condescending look crossing her face. "I'm not sure if that dress is the right choice for someone like you," she remarked, her voice laced with implied judgment. "It's part of our exclusive collection. I don't think it's something we typically let just anyone try on." The words hit Shaunie like a slap, but she remained calm. She was used to being judged based on her appearance, but this was different. It wasn't about her, it was about finding something beautiful for her daughter. She refused to let Jessica's dismissiveness deter her. "I'm a paying customer, just like anyone else," Shaunie responded, her voice steady. "I would like to try it on." Jessica's lips curled into a tight, insincere smile. "Of course," she replied sarcastically. "But we have certain policies about who gets to handle these delicate pieces. Perhaps you should look at something more accessible." Shaunie held her ground, refusing to let the insult slide. "I've come here to shop for my daughter, and I would appreciate being treated like any other customer. I don't need to be judged based on how I look or what I'm wearing." Jessica, clearly irritated by Shaunie's insistence, stepped closer, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. "Girls like you don't belong here," Jessica muttered under her breath, her tone sharp. "Maybe you should leave before you make a scene." Shaunie's heart raced with anger, but she didn't let it show. She had faced much worse in her life, and she wasn't about to let someone like Jessica dictate how she was treated. "I'm not leaving," Shaunie said firmly, her eyes locking onto Jessica's. "I will try on that dress, and you will let me, just like you would anyone else who came in here to shop." Jessica's face turned red with frustration, but she didn't speak. Shaunie's unwavering confidence seemed to push her back, and for a moment, the air between them hung heavy with tension. Jessica took a step back, her hands clasped tightly in front of her as if trying to regain control of the situation. Shaunie, however, wasn't going to let the boutique manager's condescension define her experience. She had come to shop for her daughter, not to engage in a battle over how she was perceived. She turned back toward the dress, focusing on the task at hand, determined to find something beautiful, no matter how others might try to hold her back. The confrontation between Shaunie and Jessica, though brief, spoke volumes. It was a stark reminder of the subtle but pervasive judgment many people face, especially when they don't meet certain expectations. Yet, Shaunie stood tall, unwavering, ready to push through the barriers that others tried to impose on her. She wasn't about to let this boutique manager, or anyone else, diminish her worth. Jessica's judgment didn't stop with her dismissive comments. As Shaunie remained calm and resolute, Jessica's attitude grew even more condescending. She crossed her arms, eyes narrowing as she glanced at Shaunie with a look that was both patronizing and dismissive. "I'm sure that dress would look great on you," Jessica said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "But I don't think it's something you could actually afford." Her tone was laced with disdain, the words hanging in the air as if trying to prove that Shaunie, based on her casual attire, was out of place in such an exclusive boutique. "Maybe you should try somewhere more fitting for your budget." Shaunie felt the sting of Jessica's words, but she refused to let them get to her. She wasn't here to prove her worth to anyone, especially not someone like Jessica. She'd heard worse, but that didn't make the hurtful comments any easier to bear. Jessica continued, her posture growing more aggressive as she stepped closer to Shaunie, eyes scanning her from head to toe. "I'm sure they have plenty of affordable options in other stores," she sneered. "This isn't the place for people like you." At that moment, something snapped inside Shaunie. She wasn't about to let Jessica continue belittling her. Shaunie straightened up, her voice steady and unyielding. "I'm not leaving," she said, her eyes locking with Jessica's. "And I'll try on that dress whether you like it or not." But Jessica's patience had worn thin, and she didn't seem to care any more about the store's reputation or the customers around her. In a sudden and shocking move, Jessica reached out, grabbing the dress from Shaunie's hands and yanking it away from her. Without warning, she slapped Shaunie across the face. The sound of the slap echoed through the boutique, stunning everyone within earshot. Shaunie staggered back slightly, her cheek stinging from the unexpected blow. The room went silent, all eyes now on Jessica and Shaunie. The shock of the moment left Shaunie frozen for a brief second, her mind racing. She hadn't expected this, no one would have. She could feel the humiliation rising in her chest, but she wasn't about to let it take control. Shaunie quickly recovered. With a deep breath, she reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, and started recording. The shock was still evident on her face, but she held the phone steady, capturing the entire interaction. She knew the moment had to be documented, not only for herself but for anyone who might ever face a similar situation. Jessica stood there, staring at Shaunie in disbelief, as she continued to film. The reality of the situation began to sink in. Shaunie wasn't the one who would be silenced today. Instead, she was about to make sure the world knew exactly what had happened. As soon as the video of Jessica slapping Shaunie hit the internet, it was like a spark in a dry forest. Shaunie, with her calm yet composed demeanor, posted the video on her social media accounts, knowing full well that what had just happened in the boutique was far bigger than herself. The video captured not just the slap, but the entire humiliating exchange that led up to it. Within minutes, the video was shared thousands of times, with viewers expressing outrage and disbelief at the shocking treatment Shaunie had endured. The backlash was immediate. People flooded the comments, demanding justice, not just for Shaunie, but for anyone who had been subjected to similar treatment in retail spaces. The hashtag Justice for Shaunie began trending, with people from all walks of life expressing their disgust and rallying behind the O'Neal family. Celebrities, influencers, and everyday people all joined the call for accountability. The video of the slap quickly went viral, sparking a national conversation about discrimination in luxury retail and how people of color, especially women, are often treated unfairly based on their appearance. The incident didn't just stay on social media, it quickly became the subject of news reports across the country. Major news outlets picked up the story, with headlines demanding answers from the boutique. Questions swirled about how such behavior could have occurred in a high-end store, and whether it was part of a larger pattern of discriminatory practices. The public was enraged, not just by the slap itself, but by the way Shaunie was belittled and dismissed because of her appearance. It became clear that the boutique's treatment of Shaunie was symptomatic of deeper, more systemic issues. Shaquille O'Neal, already protective of his ex-wife, was furious when he saw the video. He was enraged by the humiliation Shaunie had endured and immediately decided to step in. He knew he had to act swiftly and forcefully. Using his platform as one of the most recognized athletes in the world, Shaquille posted a video in response to the incident, vowing to take legal action against the boutique and its manager. "I've seen a lot in my life, but I've never seen something like this. My ex-wife, Shaunie, is an incredible woman and a great mother. What happened to her was wrong. This isn't just about a dress or a boutique, this is about respect, and no one should be treated this way," Shaquille said in the video, his voice filled with anger and determination. His words resonated with millions of people who had already been moved by the injustice. Shaquille made it clear that he wouldn't stand by while someone he loved was disrespected, and he would use every resource available to him to ensure that the boutique and its management were held accountable. He made it known that legal action was already underway, and that he and his team were committed to fighting for justice. As the story continued to gain traction, the public's outrage only intensified. Celebrities like LeBron James, Viola Davis, and Rihanna publicly voiced their support for Shaunie, while social media influencers rallied their followers to demand change from the boutique. People who had experienced similar instances of discrimination came forward, sharing their stories and adding fuel to the fire of activism. The boutique, once an exclusive brand catering to the wealthy, now found itself at the center of a media storm. Public relations experts predicted that this scandal could have lasting repercussions on the boutique's reputation, and calls for a boycott of the store began to grow louder. The company's management issued a brief statement, but the public wasn't satisfied with mere words. They wanted actions, and they wanted change. In the wake of the public outcry, Shaunie and Shaquille O'Neal became not just symbols of resistance, but leaders in a movement that demanded more respect for marginalized groups in high-end retail spaces. Their fight wasn't just about one incident, it was about creating a future where everyone, regardless of their appearance or background, could walk into any store and be treated with dignity and fairness. The fight for justice had just begun. In the days following the viral incident, the boutique's corporate office was forced to respond. As public outrage grew, the company issued a brief apology, acknowledging the incident and expressing regret over what had happened. They suspended Jessica Marlowe, the boutique manager responsible for the slap, and assured the public that they would review their internal practices to ensure this kind of situation never occurred again. The statement seemed more like a response to the media storm than a genuine effort at making things right. While the boutique's apology was a step, it fell far short of Shaunie and Shaquille O'Neal's expectations. They understood that this wasn't just about an isolated incident with one employee, it was about a larger issue of systemic discrimination in retail. The slap wasn't just a physical act, it was part of a broader pattern of racial profiling and judgment based on appearance that Shaunie knew far too well. Shaquille, determined to make sure this wasn't swept under the rug, wasted no time. He immediately mobilized his legal team to take action against the boutique for assault. The O'Neals weren't looking for a simple settlement or public relations gesture, they wanted accountability. Shaquille's legal team filed a lawsuit, accusing the boutique of assault and battery, emotional distress, and racial discrimination. The lawsuit made it clear that the O'Neals weren't just seeking damages for the slap, but for the harm caused by the discriminatory treatment Shaunie faced in the store. As Shaquille and his team pushed forward with legal action, the media attention on the case didn't wane, it only grew. News outlets across the country continued to cover the story, with reporters digging deeper into the boutique's history and practices. More stories began to emerge of other customers who had faced similar mistreatment in the store, many of them people of color who were made to feel unwelcome or inferior simply because of their appearance. These revelations painted a troubling picture of a boutique that had become a symbol of elitism and exclusion. Shaunie, always the strong, composed figure, knew that this was about more than just one personal grievance. She began to speak out more publicly, demanding real, lasting change, not just for her, but for all those who had been subjected to the same kind of treatment. She wasn't interested in letting this be forgotten. As she stood beside Shaquille, her voice strong and unwavering, she made it clear that the boutique's apology wasn't enough. "We're not asking for sympathy, we're asking for justice," Shaunie said during one of her public statements. "This isn't just about one slap. This is about the systemic racism that people face every day in places that are supposed to welcome everyone. We need change, and it has to start now." As the legal battle progressed, Shaquille O'Neal's influence became a major factor. The boutique's leadership, now under immense public pressure, was forced to face the harsh reality of what had occurred. The O'Neals' demand for a full, independent investigation into the boutique's policies and practices was non-negotiable. They insisted that the company not only address the incident but also implement diversity training and make changes to their hiring and customer service practices to ensure that no one else would be subjected to such humiliation. The pressure from the public, combined with the legal actions, kept the spotlight firmly on the boutique. Shaunie and Shaquille's fight was becoming more than a personal matter, it had turned into a national conversation about discrimination in luxury retail and beyond. The incident at the boutique, though deeply personal for Shaunie O'Neal, quickly became a platform for broader societal change. With the public support, the O'Neal family transformed what could have been a single isolated incident into a nationwide conversation about racial discrimination in luxury retail. Shaquille, using his immense influence, helped elevate the issue, ensuring that the conversation wasn't just about one woman being slapped, but about the systemic racism that pervades much of society, including high-end fashion. Shaunie, though still grappling with the humiliation of what had happened to her, channeled her frustration and pain into action. The slap was no longer just a personal affront, it was a symbol of the larger issue that millions of people, particularly people of color, face every day in environments that are supposed to be welcoming and inclusive. Shaunie's voice, once constrained by the pressures of her public life, now became a powerful tool for advocacy. She began to speak out on every platform available to her, sharing her story and using her experience as a lens through which to examine the deeper problem of discrimination in retail. Shaunie called for the fashion industry to do better, demanding that luxury boutiques, like the one that had wronged her, re-evaluate their practices and take active steps to prevent such incidents from happening in the future. Shaunie's message was simple: fairness. She wasn't advocating for sympathy or special treatment, she was advocating for equality. She wanted to ensure that people of color, especially black women, were treated with dignity and respect in every space, regardless of their socio-economic status or appearance. While the legal battle continued, Shaunie used her platform to rally support for changes in policy, not only in retail but also within the broader scope of business practices. She spoke with influencers, organized community events, and participated in interviews, always keeping the message clear: it was time for real change in industries that had long excluded or mistreated marginalized groups. Despite the emotional weight of the slap, Shaunie's strength shone through. Instead of allowing the incident to break her, she used it as fuel to fight for fairness. Her journey from victim to advocate was a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, one can stand tall and make a lasting difference. The fight for justice had only just begun, and Shaunie was determined to lead it with unwavering resolve. If you were moved by Shaunie's story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this one. Share this video and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps us keep telling these important tales. Shaunie's experience at the boutique wasn't just a personal incident, it was a wake-up call about the discrimination many face every day, even in the most unexpected places. Her bravery to speak out, along with the unwavering support from Shaquille, has sparked a powerful movement, showing us that standing up for justice is more important than ever. The fight for equality and respect is ongoing, and with each voice that joins the cause, change becomes inevitable. If you were moved by Shaunie's story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories like this one. Share this video and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps us keep telling these important tales.